presentation. Kim, it's all you.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here in the Phoenix Desert with y'all today. And, you know, we have many partners who are certainly capable of selling the FlexPod solution. But one thing that really stands out about cStor is that they are the #1 FlexPod partner in all of the Southwest, which is all of Southern California, the Phoenix Desert, Las Vegas, a pretty substantial territory, and you know, definitely a market-leading perspective for FlexPod. And they rank right up there at #5 nationally of all of our FlexPod partners. So a great job of not only building a practice around FlexPod, but implementing it and delivering successful business outcomes for our joint customers. So I'm going to lobby just a little bit harder to have the Cisco, NetApp, and Avnet logos appear just a little larger on your technology map. But with that, I'll go ahead and get started. So a few of the things that we're going to talk about today. My slide isn't changing. There we go. What is a FlexPod? And then I'm going to set the stage for FlexPod with private cloud. And this is going to be the first of a series of FlexPod cloud solution webinars hosted by cStor. So first, we're going to start with what is a FlexPod. So a FlexPod is really the most efficient way to go down the journey of creating your next generation data center. It combines the Cisco Unified Compute servers, this complete line of Cisco Unified switches, all the way from the Nexus 1000V to the new Nexus 9000s, and the entire portfolio of NetApp FAS and E-Series. All of the unified protocols are fully supported within the FlexPod, and the entire flash portfolio from NetApp is fully supported. And really what this provides to customers is an acceleration in the transformation from infrastructure silos to a virtualized shared environment. And the pre-validation that comes from Cisco, NetApp, and our ecosystem partners to build a standard scalable building block for your next generation data center. And you know, FlexPod started as a VMware hypervisor solution. It has grown to be nearly hypervisor agnostic, supporting Hyper-V, KVM, Rev, and Oracle OVM, as well as Citrix now as well in FlexPod solutions. So you truly get that flexible platform. So it's designed for many environments, mixed workloads, can be easily tuned and optimized for your requirements. And it's backed by easy-to-use tools in Cisco UCS Manager, as well as the NetApp OnCommand suite. And you can add applications and different hypervisors within a single FlexPod. So you truly get that flexibility. And all of the solutions are pre-validated. So it creates that rapid, repeatable deployment with risk reduction through the validated architectures. So FlexPod is also the market leader. We have well over 5,500 unique FlexPod customers, and that does not include either Cisco or NetApp in that number, because we both run our business on FlexPod and you know, drink our own champagne, if you will. It's rated #1 by IDC as an integrated infrastructure, and it's built on the world's #1 storage operating system, clustered Data ONTAP, and the #1 in America's x86 server, Cisco UCS. And it also happens to be the #1 private cloud infrastructure, and that's what we're here to talk about today. We have well over 90 validated designs from all of the popular back office applications, such as Microsoft Exchange, SharePoint, SQL Server, VMware, Citrix, Oracle, SAP, Red Hat, and Cluster Data ONTAP and the entire NetApp Flash portfolio are also fully supported. So what this slide really illustrates for us is the line and the challenges facing IT today, right? IT is trying to drive the balance between the left side of the picture and the right side. IT on the left is being, somewhat defensive, right? Protecting the business through cost reduction and risk mitigation. However, on the right, it's being more aggressive in helping the business address the right opportunity. So, trying to eliminate downtime and reducing costs are important aspects of what IT needs to do. But I find that many of our customers spend as much as 85% of the time and their annual budgets addressing decisions that they've already made in the past. And now IT has to focus on, what is the opportunity and enable IT to move, somewhat out of the way and be aligned with the business to enable growth in greater scale. So addressing opportunities is allowing IT to drive growth and better align with the business. And how that's, oops, one too many. Apologies. There we go. And how that's transforming in IT is traditionally IT has been builders and operators of infrastructure, right? DIY projects to stand up networks, compute, and storage. And in this alignment with the business to drive growth and really focus on opportunities, it's forcing IT to now become brokers of services that are offered to the business. So it's forcing everyone to think like a service provider and be stewards of their own data and define, service classes and service catalogs and service levels for these new services that IT is bringing back to the business. So what this really allows IT to start doing is, driving lower cost and faster provisioning with scale. And, customers don't want to manage data centers. They want to manage data. So it allows you to start thinking about where's the right place for my data. Is it on-premise? Is it somewhere out in the cloud? First, I have to be able to define those services before I can figure out what is the right placement. So, as we look to enable the path to the private cloud, we've got to, focus on the business model. And because Cluster Data ONTAP and FlexPod are fully virtualized, right? The hardware is abstracted. We're able to create that virtualized infrastructure, those shared pools of resources that enable us to really define the services, focus on how those services are going to be delivered, right, through a service catalog and a self-service portal, and then rapidly deploy those services to the customers and have the analytics and automation capabilities built in to this delivery model to achieve the agility and scale. And then you end up empowering both your IT organization and your end users. And this is really the difference between being highly virtualized and having a private cloud. Is that self-service portal, the service catalog, the analytics and automation, and that highly virtualized infrastructure to be able to create the pools of resources. So FlexPod is a foundation that was really designed for the cloud. And some key tenets are that always-on infrastructure, continuous availability throughout hardware, software, firmware upgrades. It's a scale-out architecture, and it's cloud programmable because we've virtualized and abstracted, the hardware resources into consumable pools. We have that programmability built into the infrastructure. So, some of the key features are in Cluster Data ONTAP, we have storage VMs or storage virtual machines that provide that flexible container for isolated containment of data. It's multi-hypervisor optimized. I can have a FlexPod with a single hypervisor. I can have a single FlexPod with multiple hypervisors running in it, or I can have a FlexPod that is 100% bare metal. Again, I have that flexibility. And FlexPod was built around secure multi-tenancy. So I've created secure isolated containers end-to-end from hypervisor, compute, network, and storage for my workloads or my tenants. And this is a key differentiator for FlexPod. And along with that multi-tenancy, I'm able to guarantee SLAs by leveraging quality of service throughout that entire stack as well. And through Cluster Data ONTAP, I have that efficient data transport and very rich data management capabilities and features that enable the data fabric. So I'd like to introduce two FlexPod private cloud options. The first one is FlexPod with VMware Private Cloud. And you'll see that between the two solutions, the infrastructure is the same. Cisco UCS, Cisco Nexus, and NetApp FAS. What is different is the hypervisor and the management suite. In the case of VMware Private Cloud, it's the VMware vCloud suite and the VMware hypervisor. And this can be for both virtual servers as well as virtual desktops. So this really allows you to create that scalable building block, or pod, if you will, that allows you to scale from small to multiple data centers. It's pre-built, and it's also validated with VMware, which is key. So they were a key ecosystem partner in building the FlexPod with VMware Private Cloud, as well as maintaining the currency of that reference architecture. The FlexPod with VMware Private Cloud is a perfect example of where we've started with a reference architecture, and we've had 10 or 12 currency updates to that reference architecture as new hardware and software has come out from Cisco and NetApp, as well as new versions of VMware have come available. So we've come back together and revalidated with those new components. And FlexPod with VMware Private Cloud is our #1 use case for FlexPod. And we have thousands of customers deployed with this particular reference architecture. And then secondly, we have FlexPod with Microsoft Private Cloud. Again, the same infrastructure components. What's different is Windows Server 2012, Hyper-V, and Microsoft System Center as the underlying management framework. And again, you get the same benefits. In addition, the FlexPod with Microsoft Private Cloud is part of the Microsoft Private Cloud Fast Track solution. And FlexPod has won many awards from Microsoft around the solution. Multiple Partners of the Year, multiple TechEd Award winners, and multiple times being the Server Platform Award winner. And that's largely because of the free PowerShell toolkits available from both Cisco and NetApp that do that full integration into System Center for the manageability, the orchestration, and automation capabilities for the FlexPod. And then I'm going to spend just a minute here talking about NetApp OnCommand portfolio and how you can leverage it to enable storage cloud services. So on the left, you really have the components of of a cloud, which is your service catalog, your service analytics, automation capabilities, and self-service. On the right, these are the components within the OnCommand portfolio that enable these capabilities. So for a service catalog, we would leverage a tool called workflow automation that would allow you to set up your tiers or your service catalogs of storage, and then be able to build automated workflows that allow you to pick a tier of service and what data protection and integration capabilities you would like associated with a tier of service. From a service analytics perspective, the OnCommand Insight tool would give you the capacity planning based upon prior and predictive utilization, metered usage, and that would be what would enable like a showback or a chargeback capability for usage-based fees, service assurance, and performance optimization. This tool is widely used in FlexPod environments for this deep analytics, and it goes beyond the storage all the way up through the network and compute. So it is a pretty extensible tool. And then for the automation perspective, the workflow automation that I just talked about, you've got the service request and the automated workflow to do that provisioning or integration. And really what you achieve with this automation is consistency. I use the analogy many times that if each of us on the call were to build a version of cluster Data ONTAP where we were to stand up a bare metal Red Hat server, I guarantee you we would all do it differently. And that's where automation comes into play, is to gain that consistency against a given service level. And that's important in this transition from builders of infrastructure to brokers of services. You want that consistency. And it also prevents the 2 o'clock in the morning phone call because something wasn't provisioned or stood up exactly as it should be. And then the self-service capability is really leveraging the open APIs throughout the stack from Cisco and NetApp and the workflow automation capability. And then lastly, because this is a first in a series on FlexPod cloud discussions, I wanted to just drop this in, some of the versatility of NetApp Data ONTAP and the ability to go from a data center to a branch office and to the cloud. So in the data center, we have VAS and FlexPod with cluster Data ONTAP. We can virtualize third-party storage arrays with FlexArray. In small, remote, or branch offices, we have ONTAP Edge, which is a virtualized version of Data ONTAP running in an ESX virtual machine. We also have near the cloud, which is NetApp Private Storage for the cloud, and that puts your data adjacent to the cloud, but not in the cloud. And there's a lot of benefits that customers derive from that. Again, it's that data governance and stewardship that gives you the security aspect, which is the #1 barrier to hybrid or public cloud. And then we've just recently announced Data ONTAP in the cloud, and it's called Cloud ONTAP. And that's a version of cluster Data ONTAP that runs in an AWS AMI. And we will have that same capability coming soon with Azure. We're completing the testing there. So a lot of great opportunities to have further conversations about FlexPod and cloud, and excited to come back and share more with you. And that's all I have today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim, for your time today and the great information. That leads us to our Q&A session. We do have a couple of questions. The first one, does the workflow automation for the end user include the functionality that's provided by VCAC, i.e. the actual VM request and provisioning, or is it Cisco NetApp centric?
So, very good question. The workflow automation is a free tool from NetApp, and it's NetApp storage specific. So it would work in conjunction with the VMware VCAC tools.
Excellent, thank you. One other question, how does NetApp define a private cloud?
So a private cloud is defined by a self-service portal, a service catalog, the analytics and automation on top of a highly virtualized infrastructure.
Excellent, thank you. One other question, the pre-built solutions, are they single SKU for all components?
So because FlexPod is 100% a channel-driven solution, our partners such as cStor do have that capability to provide the customer with a single SKU for not only the FlexPod infrastructure, but it can include VMware licensing, Microsoft licensing. Our partners have that unique flexibility. I myself can't sell you a FlexPod, nor can my peer at Cisco, and that's why we have great channel partners such as cStor to lead the path with the FlexPod.
Great. One more question. E-Series was mentioned on one of the previous tabs. Would this be E-Series presented storage to a FAS controller running CDOT, or is there a native E-Series FlexPod solution?
It can be both. It can be a FlexArray where we're virtualizing E-Series storage, and that really gives you, that's a unique use case. It gives you block-based storage with the data management functionality of FAS. We also have, and we didn't talk about it today, but we have a FlexPod Select that uses E-Series as the back-end storage array. And the difference between FlexPod Datacenter and FlexPod Select is FlexPod Datacenter is really designed for that shared infrastructure, highly virtualized environment, whereas FlexPod Select is really application dedicated, high performance, and it's block-only storage on the back end. So video surveillance, a lot of media and entertainment workloads, encoding, transcoding, playout, as well as we have a new 1 million IOP Oracle Rack high-performance solution that is a FlexPod solution. So different use cases, and I'm not sure who asked that question, but I'd be happy to follow up further if needed.
Great, we can provide you with that person's name, absolutely. That concludes the question portion of today's event. I'd like to, at this point, pass it back over to Chris Krieger from